and we've seen this consistently. 2013 में हुआ था first bull run when Bitcoin went from I think $8 or $10 to $1,000, and then 2017 में हुआ था when Bitcoin went from rallied from around like $300-400 to I think around $20,000 at its peak, and then 2021 में हुआ था where we saw price of upwards of like 65,000, 69,000, $70,000. So the expectation is around 2024, 2025, the cycle is going to pick up again. And I hired a senior person in my team, and that is when I kind of felt like a little awkward telling him कि भाई आजा मेरे bedroom से काम कर ले.
What made you quit your job and start up on your own? So hi ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to yet another podcast. This is your host Naman and you're watching Bahut Scope Hai. And today we have Srinidhi with us, who is the co-founder of Flippy, which is a social-first crypto trading platform. And they've raised $1.1 million in their pre-seed funding. A lot of money, definitely. He's been in Times of India 40 under 40. And he's been a speaker at a lot of fancy conferences across the country. Very recently, he was a part of Entrepreneur India Web3 Summit. And when I got to know about the summit, it was happening in Bangalore. So I went down to their website to check the ticket price. I guess it was north of 10,000-15,000 rupees. Was pretty costly. And then when I got to know like you spoke out there, I got a little jealous. I mean, you got in for free, man. So I'm sure they didn't pay you, or did they?
No, दो पैसे नहीं देते.
Well, that hurts less. Yeah, good.
Right.
Yeah, cool. So let's just start with how you feeling running a startup. You co-founded Flippy, and for like quite some time you've been doing the thing you're doing. So how does it feel like being an entrepreneur and running your company? So if you can tell us a little about your experience.
Right. Feels good. Feels like I'm on the right path, which for me is important. And it's exciting. Very topsy-turvy in terms of how it makes you feel on a day-to-day basis. But overall, every 3 months when you look back, or like in every 6 months when you look back, you feel like you've learned something and you've made some progress. So that is quite fulfilling. But yeah, I mean, it's a journey. Abhi to we've just gotten started. Lots more to do, lots more to accomplish. So nothing to feel happy about, but very satisfying.
Indeed. And how is it different from, in college, हम काफ़ी projects करते रहते हैं with our friends, and after that you also did a job for quite some time. So how much of a difference did you feel while running your own company rather than doing the other things you did?
I think काफ़ी differences है, काफ़ी similarities भी है for that matter. Differences इस बात में है कि मतलब फर्जियापा नहीं कर सकते. राइट. असाइनमेंट्स में क्या होता था कि पैराफ्रेज कर दिया. टर्निटिन का एक फंडा था कि इफ यू आर सबमिटिंग अ पेपर, प्लेजरिज्म चेक होता है करके. देयर वाज अ स्टैंडिंग आई वुड से रूमर व्हिच एवरीवन वाज वरीड अबाउट कि यार प्लेजरिज्म ना पकड़ा जाए. तो एवरीबॉडी यूज्ड टू सिट डाउन एंड पैराफ्रेज जो भी टेप रहा है, तो यूज्ड टू पैराफ्रेज कि अच्छा चलो ठीक है, प्लेजरिज्म चेक में ना पकड़ा जाए. तो ये चीज़ें करते थे कॉलेज में. जॉब में करते थे कि जॉब में इतना सारा टाइम मिलता था काम करने के लिए, बिकॉज पहले मैनेजर को प्रेजेंट करना है, मैनेजर जाके सीनियर मैनेजर को बता रहा है, सीनियर मैनेजर जाके वीपी को बता रहा है, वीपी जाके डायरेक्टर को बता रहा है. सो देयर इज सो मच टाइम एंड देयर इज सो मच फीडबैक, एंड टुवर्ड्स द एंड अकाउंटेबिलिटी बहुत कम रह जाती है. राइट. इफ यू डोंट मेक एनी प्रोग्रेस, एंड आई वाज वर्किंग इन अ रिसर्च टीम, तो वहाँ पे तो और भी कम अकाउंटेबिलिटी है, बिकॉज यू कैन ऑलवेज ब्लेम द मेथड, क्योंकि 90% चीज़ें तो ऐसे भी काम नहीं करनी है. तो अनलेस यू आर वर्किंग इन अ वेरी वेरी हाई आउटपुट, हाईली प्रोडक्टिव रिसर्च टीम, लोग बोलेंगे कि नहीं ये मेथड ही काम नहीं करता है और ये डेटा सूट नहीं करता है. तो
सही बात है. यू डोंट हैव एनी डेडलाइंस, तो उसके वजह से प्रेशर भी रहता है.
हाँ, डेडलाइंस का फंडा भी नहीं रहता है. होता है कुछ जॉब्स में होता है डेडलाइंस का फंडा, बट देन अगेन क्वालिटी कॉम्प्रोमाइज करने के लिए लोग रेडी है, और पीपल एक्सपेक्ट कि क्वालिटी कॉम्प्रोमाइज हो जाता है. बट खुद का जब स्टार्टअप करते हो, एक तो चीज़ है कि फर्जियापा नहीं कर सकते, बिकॉज मतलब यू हैव टू स्लीप एट नाइट. रात को नींद नहीं आएगी. राइट. इफ यू फील लाइक already without doing anything you'll feel like you're not doing enough. तो उसके ऊपर से वजापा भी कर रहे हो तो रात को नींद नहीं आती. दूसरी बात है कि अकाउंटेबिलिटी बहुत ज़्यादा हाई है एंड क्वालिटी ऑफ वर्क पे कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ नहीं कर सकते. So you have to get done with the same kind of things, same amount of things at the highest quality. So there is a lot more responsibility. This is from a very very broad perspective कि क्या differences है, but otherwise similarities भी है कि you know you need like comfortable people around you. जैसे college में हो you find your friend circle, you find a group of people that you want to spend your time with. That's the same with working in a startup because बड़ी कंपनी हो जाती है तो वो एम्प्लॉय एम्प्लॉयर वाला रिलेशनशिप होता है, मैनेजर सबऑर्डिनेट वाला रिलेशनशिप होता है. इन अ टीम साइज ऑफ अराउंड 10, 20, 30 people it is very personal and it's a very cordial and informal relationship. At least that's how I like to keep it, so that we're all honest and comfortable with each other. So that is the similarity. Even in work, you kind of even in your job you kind of try to find your circle. Your circle होता है तो you don't get that job satisfaction. So for me that is very important. I'm very comfortable with my team and they're very comfortable with me. So that's probably the similarity.
Cool. So talking of circle, I wanted to know कि you have a team of a few people as you said. So where you working at and are you working at your home or you got some office or how are things like and how did you get to where you are in terms of your team?
Right, so this is actually a very long story. Right now, to answer your question shortly, we are working out of office. So we have an office space. We've rented out an office space in Bangalore.
Alright.
And we have a decent number of team members working out of Bangalore. So we work in person. Office timings है हमारा. Most people follow it. Some people don't follow it. But yeah, it wasn't always this way.
So
that's the story behind it.
शुरू में कैसा था? You got in people at your flat or how was it like when you started?
Right, so initially I was staying with my parents. Bangalore में जब था, my parents used to stay here, and as soon as they got to know कि वो Bangalore में लगी है, they are like mom started throwing tantrums like any other mom. यहीं पे घर पे ही रहना है, कहीं रेंट पे नहीं लेना. तो आई वाज लाइक कूल एंड आई वाज आल्सो सेविंग ऑन रेंट. तो जो रेंट का पैसा लग रहा था उससे मैंने गाड़ी खरीद लिया. चलो ठीक है, सिक्योरिटी भी लग रहा है, गाड़ी का रेंट का पैसा नहीं जा रहा है तो गाड़ी खरीद लेता हूँ. सो दैट वर्कड आउट फॉर मी. बट देन 2 years later when I wanted to start up, I felt like यार this is not going to work out because एक तो घर बहुत दूर था from where all of the startup folks were. So if I have to meet someone then I have to travel 1 hour. One way. So that was not sustainable. And दूसरा एक sort of like वो freedom नहीं था. रात को काम कर रहे हो, सुबह लेट उठ रहे हो, सुबह उठ के काम कर रहे हो, रात को जल्दी सो जा रहे हो. So there is like a fixed routine and schedule. And early days of starting up is a lot of uncertainty.
Definitely.
A lot of informal, I would say, or like unorganized stuff. So वो bandwidth मेरे को लग नहीं रहा था कि घर पे मिलेगा. So I had to move out. I got a villa in Bangalore only. HSR layout में लिया था thinking कि it's very close to all of the startup hubs in Bangalore.
Same.
And that's where I used to call all of my people, right? So I asked my co-founder to move in पहले. So it was a 3 BHK. So my co-founder moved in. There were 2 of us working out of there. He was actually based out of Kolkata. So he used to shuffle between Bangalore and Kolkata. So every time he used to visit Bangalore, he used to stay with me. And then he used to fly back to Kolkata. He also had a kid in between. So the kid was born in Kolkata. So he had to travel a lot. So when I started hiring people, I started calling them home. And काफी अच्छा बढ़िया घर था. I had like a housekeeper and everything who used to cook. तो सब लोग आते थे, breakfast, lunch, dinner सब मेरे घर पे ही करते थे. काम वाम करके रात को जाते थे. हाँ, तो that was very comfortable. For me, it was very comfortable because all I wanted early stage में is to get things done, right? And
definitely,
I wanted to give everyone in my team that freedom and that privilege कि हाँ ठीक है, you come here, you don't have to worry about your food or anything. मेरे रूम पे बैठ के मेरे मॉनिटर पे कनेक्ट करके काम कर लेते थे other लोग. There were like 2 other rooms. किसी को नैप लेना है नैप ले लेते थे. So it was very comfortable. So that's how like we all got very comfortable with each other in the team. बट देन आफ्टर अ
Got it.
सर्टेन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम थोड़ा अनसस्टेनेबल हो गया कि लोगों के लिए बैठने के लिए जगह नहीं है एंड
हाँ.
कॉल्स लेने के लिए सिर्फ एक रूम है बिकॉज 2 रूम में लोग रह रहे हैं. So
हाँ. बेड पे
that was
4
very
लोग बैठ रहे हैं, ऐसा भी
uncomfortable.
था.
हाँ, so that was when we decided कि यार अभी तो
सही.
we have to move out, and there was a so all of this happened when everyone in the team was young, and
हाँ.
I hired a senior person in my team, and that is when I kind of felt like a little awkward telling him कि भाई आजा मेरे bedroom से काम कर ले, because it is just not
हाँ.
like a very
अब used to नहीं
lucrative
होगा
way
ना.
to introduce.
हाँ.
हाँ, definitely. And he was coming from Goldman Sachs. He's flying
Oh.
business class
Oh.
there, and he's staying in like the best of places. I can't feel like कि भाई हमारा office space में
समझ.
bedroom से काम कर रहे हैं. So that was like a wake up call for me कि अच्छा चलो अब तो लेना ही पड़ेगा. So the day he
हाँ.
joined the team is the day we got the office space. उसका joining date भी ऐसे ही किया था कि जिस दिन office मिल रहा है
Alright.
मेरे को उस दिन he's going to be joining the team. So,
हाँ.
that was like how we moved into an office. Now we are quite happy with our office.
Got it.
We share that with another startup, and it's
Nice,
quite
nice.
comfortable for us. We have a meeting room and conference room and everything.
Definitely an interesting story. Now, talking about the money you've raised. So, you've raised money just at the seed or pre-seed round, whatever, and you got the money for the idea. So, tell us about what that idea is, for what you got so much paid for.
Right. So I mean, we didn't get paid for the idea first off, but yeah, I think we
Right.
got paid to execute on a business plan. So
definitely.
I'll give you
Definitely.
some context for the industry and how
हाँ.
like what my perspective is as well. So I think
Yeah.
see, crypto as a space is very nascent, and what I
Uh-huh.
mean by that is there is a lot more potential in terms of use cases, and there's a lot more there's a lot bigger community out there that this technology can serve, but it is quite not there yet, and that is because of
Alright.
multiple reasons. First is adoption is very difficult, and
Uh-huh.
builders are very limited. Adoption is on the user end, and builders are on the producer end. कि developers इतने लोग नहीं, developers इतने नहीं हैं, products इतने नहीं हैं, and consumer friendly products इतने नहीं हैं. So
Uh-huh.
when we initially got started out, this was in 2021. What was happening is everybody was hearing about an alternative asset class. Crypto was an alternative asset class. Everybody was like excited about it. Pandemic also gave people that disposable cash and income to deploy into, like, let's say equity में डाल दिया, mutual funds में डाल दिया, सब YouTube पे videos
Definitely.
देखते हैं.
Uh-huh.
There was this entire culture that was popping up, and everybody was looking for better ways to invest and passive ways of investing, and that's where I saw this opportunity where I talked to a lot of people. 600 लोगों से और 600 और लोगों से बात करी थी, like an actual phone conversation. Average
Interesting.
conversation time was around like 20 minutes. कुछ लोगों से 2 घंटे भी बात करी. The idea was
Single
simple
entity.
कि समझने की कैसे पैसे के बारे में क्या उनका पर्सपेक्टिव है. लगाना तो सबको ही था कि मार्केट में लगाना है, बट कहाँ लगाना है, कैसे लगाना है, क्या प्रॉब्लम्स है.
Uh-huh.
So what I found out from these people was that as soon as you open the exchange app, they feel very overwhelmed. So back then Binance was very big, reasonably big. CoinSwitch was picking up. I think it was still in
Yep.
its very hyper growth journey. CoinD6 was
Uh-huh.
also picking up. WazirX was pretty
Yep.
big. So what they felt is कि यार मैं exchange app खोलता हूँ, तो I see like a bunch of tokens, code names लगते हैं मेरे को कि अरे XRP लिखा हुआ है but नाम Ripple है, तो एक तो वो फंडा people were not very
हाँ.
comfortable with. And as soon as they tap on it, they see like candlesticks का graphs, and they see highly technical indicators.
हाँ.
And what that makes people feel is कि यार this is a gambling game, like purely gambling है ये. प्राइस दिखता है, कम में खरीदना है, ज्यादा में बेचना है, बाय लो सेल हाई. बिकॉज और कुछ मेरे को दिख नहीं रहा है कि क्या एसेट है, what are they doing, what is the team behind it, what problem are they solving. मतलब कंपनी के बारे में मैं सोचता हूँ कि चलो ठीक है, रिलायंस में मेरे को इन्वेस्ट करना है, तो मेरे को पता है कि अच्छा ठीक है, रिलायंस जियो सर्विस दे रहा है, या फिर रिलायंस अपना ये फलाना ठिकाना काम कर रहा है. सो आई हैव सम मेंटल मॉडल टू थिंक अबाउट इट. हिंदुस्तान यूनिलीवर का पता है मेरे को कि अच्छा चलो ठीक है, सोप्स बनाता है, शैम्पूज बनाता है. क्रिप्टो का लोगों को पता नहीं है, एंड एक्सचेंज ऐप में वो नेटिवली it is not baked into your investing experience or investing journey, the fundamentals of it. So that was the idea, and एक तो यहाँ से user side से पता चला problem, and then what I did was I cold-baked a lot of these crypto founders as well. WazirX के founder से बात की, a lot of these exchange founders were very interested in talking as well. So what I found out from their end is कि भाई हम लोग तो ये problem solve कर रहे हैं. What we are doing is कि पहले करते थे कि 1,000 रुपए का टिकट साइज है, मिनिमम इन्वेस्टमेंट इज 1,000 रुपीज, लेकिन हम लोगों ने 1,000 रुपए से 50 रुपए कर दी. तो अभी लोगों को वो डर नहीं रहेगा कि 50 रुपए में भी इन्वेस्ट करना है, मेरे को 1,000 रुपए नहीं लगाना, तो 50 रुपए डाल के मैं देख लेता हूँ, एक्सप्लोर करता हूँ क्या है. तो आई वाज लाइक अच्छा ठीक है, मतलब प्रॉब्ली मेक सेंस, प्रॉब्ली डजंट मेक सेंस. यूजर से जाके पूछ लेते हैं 50 रुपए में डालने में क्या प्रॉब्लम है उनको, इतना कंफ्यूजन है तो 50 रुपए डाल के देख लो, समझ आ जाएगा. वर्स्ट thing that can happen is you will lose your 50 rupees. But what users told me is कि भाई मेरे को 50 रुपए नहीं लगाना है, मेरे को 5,000 लगाना है, महीने का 5,000 में लगा सकते तो 5,000 लगाना है मेरे को, बट पता कि 5,000 कहाँ डालना है. What they felt is कि lowering the ticket size is not solving the problem for them, because for them the problem is confusion. The problem is not fear. The problem is कि उनको पता ही नहीं है कि कैसे, like how do I evaluate this asset. So that's where Flippy took place as a concept. The concept or the problem space was essentially कि people find it very intimidating to invest into crypto, and there needs to be a better way. And that's where the concept of baskets came into picture. So the idea was very simple. This concept exists fairly well in equity markets. US में especially it's very big. India में भी small case. Back then it was not heavily advertised or marketed, but now it is. The concept of thematic investing, where let's say you bet on a sector, you bet on agriculture sector, let's say, or green energy sector, oil and gas, or technology sector. The concept of a sector is fairly well developed in equity. So the idea was essentially to bring that into crypto and tell people, hey, you know what, you don't have to invest into like an individual asset या token. कि ये token name का मत सोचो इतना, और price के बारे में इतना मत सोचो, sector पे bet करो. तुम्हें लग रहा है कि डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड फाइनेंस इज गोइंग टू बी बिग, उस पे बेट करो. तुम्हें लग रहा है कि एनएफटी इज गोइंग टू बी बिग, उस पे बेट करो. और डू यू फील लाइक सेंट्रलाइज्ड एक्सचेंजेस आर ग्रोइंग अ लॉट. तुम्हें लग रहा है कि WazirX कितना छोटा था, बड़ा हो गया, 0.6 इतना बड़ा हो गया, और तुम्हें लग रहा है कि तुम्हें उसमें इन्वेस्ट करना है, तो इन्वेस्ट इन एक्सचेंज के टोकन्स. सो वी ब्रॉट दैट कॉन्सेप्ट एंड एक छोटा सा एक्सपेरिमेंट कैरी आउट किया था विद अ कपल 100 यूजर्स. गॉट अ लॉट ऑफ प्रॉमिस and got a lot of feedback and a lot of affirmative response कि यार ये this is good, makes it very clear and simple for me to understand. That is when I was like, yeah, I want to scale this and I want to raise money for this, and there is something bigger to be built out of this concept or this MVP. And luckily a lot of investors resonated with it, and that was like how we started our fundraising conversations. That is how we ended up at the point where we were like, yeah, पैसे उठाने इस पे.
Say, and how's the journey been after like that was the concept that you thought of, and what sort of progress in understanding your customers, what's your take on that?
Right, I think understanding to develop हो ही रहा है as we speak. There is a fair level of understanding definitely, but the market evolves, the user behavior evolves, तो वो चीज़ अभी भी समझ रहे हैं. And post the fundraising journey, I think one of the major blows for us, specifically because we are in the crypto space, has been the shocking collapse of major crypto exchanges, right? Like an exchange like FTX, right? We were also in late stage conversations with them, thinking we will integrate some kind of a derivative product, the futures and options we introduce करें हम लोग. But for somewhere in between, the conversation went dormant, and we were like, yeah, पता नहीं क्या चल रहा है, and then all of a sudden we were इतना scale.
It happened at around the start of 22, if I'm not wrong, right?
Not really start of 22. So FTX crash happened in somewhere I think September, October के time पे हुआ.
Last year. All right.
But you're right, the crypto crash started much earlier.
Yeah.
So the crypto market crash started around April, where the first collapse was of Terra Luna, which was an algorithmic stablecoin.
Right.
That collapsed. It got depegged. USD was not equal to $1 anymore, and that started like a series of events. A lot of people were in hyper leveraged positions. वो सब liquidate हुए, hedge funds liquidate हो गए, and लोगों का रिजर्व्स नहीं बचा लोग समझ रहे थे कि अच्छा मेरे पास इतना रिजर्व्स है, and that reserve became worth nothing. And once users started withdrawing, they collapsed. So this
Yep.
happened with multiple exchanges.
Uh,
And eventual, I guess, like the last straw was FTX. Hopefully, that's the last straw. I don't think there would be any more such events.
Got it.
I hope there isn't anything like that of that scale that happens in the future. But yeah,
Definitely.
that has been the biggest blow. That has changed the market
Right.
a lot. That has changed the user sentiment a lot towards crypto, and we have to adapt
Definitely.
as a business. So we have to react to that. We can't silently or we can't ignore it. We have to
Definitely.
embrace the change and build a product that makes sense in the current market environment. So that has been the most, I would say, impactful thing that has happened post fundraise. But yeah, everything else, I guess, is a part of business, running a business, part of running a startup across industry. It remains the same.
And what do you think is the wave, that wave went down, right? So when do you think is the next wave probably coming, or how bullish are you in terms of the applications of blockchain and then eventually cryptocurrencies in general? Like, what do you think is happening now, and how do you think what's happening now is gonna affect the overall perception of crypto in terms of masses?
Right. So I think, see, crypto market moves in cycles. Any market for that matter moves in cycles. In crypto, that's driven by a number of predetermined factors. So that factor is Bitcoin halving. So there's this event called Bitcoin halving, where the mining reward for Bitcoin mining. I don't know if, for like if your listeners have not heard about this, it's basically the concept of validating transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain. Nobody runs this blockchain, right? Users run it. Miners लोग run करते हैं. They validate transactions and they get rewarded by the network. So it is algorithmically coded कि इस बंदे ने इतने transactions verify किए तो he gets reward into his wallet. That reward gets cut in half every 4 years. Alright. So this is the first major thing. So the halving event happens every 4 years. So every 4 years there is a major bull run. And we've seen this consistently. 2013 में हुआ था first bull run when Bitcoin went from I think $8 or $10 to $1,000, and then 2017 में हुआ था when Bitcoin went from rallied from around like $300-400 to I think around $20,000 at its peak, and then 2021 में हुआ था where we saw price of upwards of like $65,000, $69,000, $70,000. So the expectation is around 2024, 2025, the cycle is going to pick up again, and we're going to see or we're going to witness a crypto bull market. That is the broad perspective. What is a market cycle like? Secondly, coming to the tech in itself, like what happens during these bull runs and how it impacts where the industry is headed, is whenever there is a bull run, there's a massive venture capital that enters into the ecosystem. And this is a very interesting thing because what ends up happening is there is a lot of predetermined, I would say, like there's a lot of some industries or some ecosystems, some themes within the ecosystem show a lot of promise to these investors, and they want to invest into that. So every bull run, there is like a massive investment in one particular such technology. So 2013 was the start of something called as altcoins. Ethereum as a concept started in 2013, where people were like, yeah, we need like a general purpose blockchain. We need something called as a smart contract, which people could deploy, and we need to be able to deploy tokens more efficiently rather than building a new blockchain for every single token. Why not deploy multiple tokens on one single blockchain? So that came into being in the 2013 bull run. And 2017 it was more about decentralized finance. People were like, why are these centralized exchanges doing everything? I can build a bank on the blockchain, so why don't we build that out? So they built out that entire infrastructure. 2021 it was all about NFTs and metaverse. Like, see, 2021 bull run में क्या लोग बात कर रहे थे, and in fact even algorithmic stablecoins picked up a lot. A lot of different kinds of decentralized finance applications came into picture. And again, so these are all some of the use cases which get like heavy investment from VCs as well. What that ends up doing is it basically helps them survive the bear run. So let's say people who raised a good amount of money in 2021, they can keep building for the next 2-3 years, even without generating any revenue or even without generating any traction. They can keep themselves alive, and they can keep on building with, like, the core user feedback from their, like, hardcore users. And by the time the next bull run comes, they're prepared. They're well prepared with all of their arsenal to essentially go heavy into marketing and get more adoption for their technology. So that is how it happens. What we'll definitely see in the next wave is something similar as to what we've seen in the past. At least that's my hunch. We'll definitely see more thematic investments from the VCs. We'll see a lot of projects getting funded in 2021, 2020. They'll see a lot of traction, and then they'll see a lot of revenue in the next bull run. So all of these things are pretty much obvious for me. But yeah,
Got
we'll have to
Oh,
wait and
definitely.
watch. Yes, it goes better.
Yeah, logically makes a lot of sense. Yeah, but talking of some applications, do you have some favorites in terms of what are the applications of blockchain going on right now? Or let's say there are a lot of viewers who are interested in blockchain or have a lot of experience in that, and they might want to start out their own venture or start out their own application, make some thing out of blockchain. So, do you have any applications that you think are practically going to make sense in the future, built on blockchain? Do you have any favorites?
Like favorites to, okay, so there are like some products that I religiously use. Wallets are super important. Like
Yep.
wallets, I guess anybody who has crypto uses wallets. I keep experimenting with like a bunch of different wallets, but I keep coming back to MetaMask. But still, the user experience is quite bad. I think that's
All right.
there's a big opportunity there for people who are looking to actually build something new. And this is for people who have like a product thinking, right? So if code karna is like probably like 5% of this, building like a good user
Got it.
experience is the majority of it.
Fair.
I am also a very regular user of like decentralized exchanges, right? And
All right.
more recently, I have started getting into perpetuals and futures. So I'm exploring a couple of decentralized, perp trading platforms like DYDX. Experience काफी अच्छा है. Tech is very unique and it's very different.
Perfect.
But more than that, I think right now the biggest opportunity in this space is the UX arbitrage. What I mean by that is people expect like a certain journey. So whenever people think of something or a task, they have a certain expectation. For example, मैं अगर सोचूंगा कि मेरे को बैंक जाके पैसे निकालने हैं, तो मेरे को पता है कि मेहनत है, कि मेरे को बैंक जाना पड़ेगा, वहाँ पे कैशियर से बात करना पड़ेगा, मेरे को पता नहीं कि क्या बोलना है उसको,
Fair.
what is the process, वहाँ जाके figure out करना है. So they have this expectation कि okay fine, this is like a fairly menial task. But if people think about paying through UPI, they know कि बस QR code scan करना है, मेरे को पेन डालना है, and फटाफट खत्म हो गया.
Yep.
So similarly, people who are using Web3 platforms or like blockchain apps like D apps, they have certain new expectations when it comes to using your application. So that is something that is missing when it comes to building. तो लोग जो बनाते हैं वो ये सोच के बनाते हैं कि कितने बटन्स डाल सकता हूँ या फिर कितना कस्टमाइजेशन दे सकता हूँ मैं लोगों को. So this is like Android versus iOS वाला debate, right? Where you can customize everything on Android, but people on iOS are far more happy with the experience, even without the customization.
It's mostly the engineers who think that way, no?
Right.
The more
so
features,
that
the
is,
better.
yeah. So exactly. So वो thinking अभी भी बहुत relevant है. This is because engineers dominate this industry.
Definitely.
We are seeing more designers come into play, more well-designed products, like are showing up in the ecosystem, and that is, I think, a very good thing. So what we need
Got it.
is like more such people, right? Like with people who have like a good business acumen, people with a knowledge of a good design experience or a good user experience, and people with, let's say, good marketing understanding. How do I reach a lot of people? How do I lower the acquisition cost of my users? So these are the people who will essentially see a lot more opportunity in this space. Engineers definitely, but if you're an engineer who wants to build in this space, I would say start with the user experience and not with the code, because solidity कोई भी सीख लेगा 3 दिन में. Anybody who's got like a basic understanding of programming can pick up
Yep.
like Web3 blockchain programming as well. But
Um,
more important is user level thinking कि user को क्या करना है, how do I solve for this through just user experience and not by building like a crazy tech that does like a very convoluted thing. बस इतना सोचो
Makes
कि
sense.
how do I make it easier for a user to just like generate passive income by just lending it into compound or some kind of like lending borrowing platforms. These kind of things have like immense opportunity in my opinion for people who are looking
Got
to
it.
build right now.
What's your take on metaverse? Like there are a lot of sort of projects on decentralized, based on decentralized metaverse. So, what's your take on that? Do you think it's going to be successful, or have you tried it? Did you find it interesting? Because I personally tried it, and I don't think it's ready yet for the masses. What's your take on that?
I am not a like I'm not a big supporter of it, or like I don't believe in the
All right.
technology yet.
Uh-huh.
And there are reasons for that, definitely. It's
Right.
not like a blind bashing of metaverse. I think it's as a concept, it looks very. It's very lucrative to think about it. कि भाई पूरा parallel universe है जहाँ पे everyone is like living
Yep.
their own lives, massive customization
Correct.
opportunities है.
Hmm.
सुनने में मजा आता है, but technology is not there yet. And
Yeah. The projects like decentralized and stuff. So, yeah, I made an account there, and आप वहाँ पे चले जाते हो, but then you think कि मैं क्यों आ गया यहाँ पे? Like अब क्या करें? So yeah, I think it's it's a lot nascent in terms of adaptation, and I think it's gonna take
Yeah.
some time. Yeah, right. Cool. So
Definitely.
let's talk of your journey. You were working at AMX, and then there was a transition. There must have been a period where you thought कि हाँ मेरे को job नहीं करना, मेरे को खुद का कुछ करना है. So what was that transition like, and what made you quit your job and start up on your own?
So the transition was quite interesting because this happened in 6 months into the lockdown, right? 6 months or I guess like 4-5 months into the lockdown. So usually jobs में ऐसा फंडा होता है, right? Like you work there for like a couple of months and you'll be eligible for promotion. I joined there as an analyst and I wanted to be eligible for a promotion, but my VP said no. अभी possible नहीं है for various reasons.
All right.
Business reasons से कुछ. Some of the reasons were like the project that I was working on was not showing any promise, and I felt helpless at that point in time because I was again in a research team and there's no way to find out whether something works or not without actually doing it, right? And I was doing it and I felt bad कि भाई I'm putting in the effort and because of no fault of mine ऐसा हो रहा है. And I saw a lot of my peers getting what they wanted, so that was like the fuel. But the more fundamental reason was essentially for me, like I said, वो fulfillment नहीं आ रहा था. Eventually, I felt कि I need more from my job because I'm the kind of guy who does not have like a lot of creative talent. Let's say, ठीक है, मतलब I can spend my time around my hobbies, but I don't think I have anything. I didn't have like the bandwidth to pursue anything outside of my job, and I wanted to focus a lot more on my career. So I was like, यार कुछ ज़्यादा learning opportunity चाहिए. So for me, the option was either join like a very very early stage startup or start something of my own. After like studying the space, crypto is something that I was very interested in. I saw an opportunity here. So this is something that I definitely wanted to pursue, but more from the perspective of मुझे क्या करना चाहिए at that point in time. I took around like 3 to 4 months. लोगों से बात किया. I talked to a lot of friends. वो एक 2-3 साल बाद वो एक stage आता है, right? Everybody is leaving for masters. कि कॉलेज से graduate करके 2 साल हो गए तो सब लोग masters करने चले गए. So that was like what everyone was thinking about, and वो चीज मेरे को वो बात मेरे लिए comfortable नहीं feel हो रहा था कि यार वापस से 2 साल spend करोगे फिर लोन वगैरह लेके जाओगे, you starting on a back foot. तो वो चीज तो मेरे को समझ नहीं आया. So that was one of the things that people were doing. So I asked a couple of my friends only कि यार startup करने के साथ, and I tried to pursue this something around the same lines with one of my college friends, a close college friend, but वो भी workout नहीं किया because commitment उसकी तरफ से उतना नहीं था जितना मेरे को चाहिए था. So I was also not happy with that. So eventually I decided I was actually thinking of joining like a very joining a couple of startups that exist out there. Cred, I was interviewing with Cred as well. Thoda early stage, but they were kind of doing decently well. Obviously not as big as they are right now. That is one of the things that I was considering. A couple of other fintech platforms, micro lending platforms I was considering. Eventually I decided कि यार opportunity तो बहुत है space में, खुद का भी कुछ बना सकते हो, market बहुत बड़ा है. And again, bull run is something that I obviously wanted to take advantage of. 2021 there is going to be something that is this market is going to blow up. So
got it.
वो conviction लेके just took a big leap of faith. वो risk at that point.
सही है. So it must have taken a lot of guts to, drop everything and start something of your own. So did you have an issue with your confidence, or did you have to pat on your back कि हाँ कोई नहीं देख लेंगे, or you were always confident कि हाँ शुरू कर दिया तो I'll see through what happens?
See, confidence I guess is like a वो precursor नहीं होता है चीज़ों का. It follows. Confidence follows. First you take action and then confidence follows. At least that's how I feel about it. I felt more confident about after I quit my job and I started up. And I did not do that because I was feeling confident. I felt confident because I did that, right? So that's like the first part.
Got it.
Secondly, I felt कि मेरे घर से थोड़ा सा support system काफी अच्छा था. So when I told my parents that I wanted to start up, this is how the conversation went, right? So सबसे पहले मैंने बोला mom को कि I'm quitting my job. And my parents बोले कि अरे बहुत बढ़िया, आराम से बैठो 3-4 महीने घर पे बैठो, चिल करते हैं, मजे करते हैं, उसके बाद ढूंढो कुछ क्या करना है, नहीं तो जॉब में. माय मॉम फेल्ट की सरकारी नौकरी टाइप कर रहा हूँ मैं, कि सुबह जाता हूँ ऑफिस, शाम को आता हूँ, थका हुआ आता हूँ और फिर सो जाता हूँ रात को 11-12 बजे, फिर सुबह उठ के वापस बैठ जाता हूँ. तो मॉम को ऐसा लग रहा था कि यार यू इतना हम लोगों ने इन्वेस्ट किया तेरे पे, इतना ज्यादा पढ़ाया लिखाया है, और फिर तू बस ऐसे सरकारी जॉब टाइप्स ट्रीट कर रहा है अपना लाइफ में, खत्म हो जाएगा लाइफ ऐसे ही, 50 साल हो जाएंगे फिर रिटायरमेंट आ जाएगा. So think about it. So they were very happy when I told them that I want to quit my job, because they felt कि that job is not doing enough for me.
Got it.
But then I told them कि अच्छा चलो ठीक है, this is not the full news. The full news is I am planning to start up. And then they were very happy. They were like ठीक है, don't worry about anything. And एक support system मेरा ये भी था कि I had saved up enough throughout the pandemic as well. खर्चा मेरा कुछ था नहीं, घर पे रह रहा था, घर पे रहोगे तो
सही हो,
तो पूरा पैसा बचा हुआ है. तो I had like reasonable bandwidth कि अच्छा चलो ठीक है, 1.5-2 साल तक के लिए मेरे को कुछ सोचना नहीं है पैसों के बारे में. That helped.
You got a personal runway sort of,
तो वो बहुत important होता है I feel. मेरे लिए तो बहुत important है, because you don't want to, at least I did not want to compromise on my lifestyle कि I'm not, let's say, going out with my friends, or I'm not taking like a trip every 3-4 months. मेरे लिए बहुत important है. Stepping out, getting some new perspective, getting some fresh mind does a lot for my productivity. ये सब चीजें
definitely
I cannot compromise on. So personal runway was important. Parents का support अच्छा था. And lastly, I feel like a conviction build हो जाता है once you start working, right? Exploring the market, talking to people. I talk to a lot of founders, early stage founders, and early stage founders are very, very infectious. They're probably the best thing about startup ecosystem. कोई भी early stage founder से बात कर लो, you'll get to know something new, and you'll get to know something different. वो एक energy बहुत ज़्यादा high होता है, excitement बहुत high होता है, inquisitive होता है बहुत ज़्यादा, curious. So that helped a lot. That gave me a lot of energy. I picked up on that. So ये सब eventually helped in making that call.
Got it. So probably if you have anything that you wanted to say from your side, or you wanted to share, you can, or we can wrap up.
If there's like anybody listening who is willing to start their journey in this, I would say start soon. Don't worry about the market conditions. बहुत ज़्यादा वो चल रहा है, रूमर चल रहा है कि अरे फंडिंग एनवायरनमेंट स्लो डाउन हो गया है, ये है वो है. all of that is not true. If you're building something of value, you'll always have people ready to back you, and you will always have people willing to join you, get on board. There's a lot of talent liquidity in the market. A lot of people have gotten laid off. A lot of people will be looking for newer, exciting opportunities to be a part of.
Definitely.
So it'll be easier to build a team because not a lot of people are building right now. It'll be easier to raise funds if you're building something of value. Uh, Everything is in your favor if you want to start up. So I highly recommend starting up sooner.
Cool. Yeah. So I think that was a really fun and insightful session with you. I had a lot of pleasure personally listening about and learning about new things. So I think we can wrap the session now. Thanks a lot for everyone for listening, and if you're still here, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more such videos. Till then, see ya and goodbye, Srinidhi.
When
Goodbye. Bye.